Welcome to a new episode of the Startup Show. Today we are here in downtown of Zurich meeting with the CEO and founder Linus of Propmatch. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cedric. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to a new episode of the Startup Show. So Linus, welcome. It's a big pleasure to have you here. It's my first proptech startup on the show. We met at the Digit Emo. It's one of the networking events for property tech companies, startups here in Switzerland, which is great. Great event. I remember it a couple of weeks back. But as usual on the Startup Show, maybe you can give a little bit of background about yourself so we know who we're talking to.
I'm 28 years old. I've studied accounting and finance in St. Gallen, and during my studies I started a very small company in Basel together with an architect, and this is when I first got exposed to the whole real estate segment and the processes, and also the maybe inefficiencies or some inefficiencies that are in place right now. Mm-hmm. And this is when I first started thinking about how to improve this and how to build a tool or a platform or something to improve how the processes work in real estate.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, like, you, as probably many that like studied accounting and finance, like myself at the University of St. Gallen, we have a lot of decide between corporate and startups. What made you so like keen on being like an entrepreneurship road versus going down the corporate?
I was always a hands-on guy, and as I said, I started early with a startup, and then it was no question to start. And what is the best time to start something? And I think it's when you have not so many responsibilities, family and stuff. So I thought, okay, maybe it would be best, or it would be normal to go through consulting or stuff, and then after 4 years start something. But I said, well, I've studied, so I had to wait until now to really get started. Why should I wait any longer?
Right.
And this was the point, as I said, okay, let's do it.
Right. So you have an interesting startup, proptech, robo-advisory all together. So maybe you can explain a little bit about your startup.
Propmatch, it's all about location intelligence, location data. You as a consumer, as a private person, you know where you want to live. You know exactly the place or the postal code or where it is that you say, okay, this is a place I can imagine to live. It's a whole different case when you're an investor. Because then you say, I have an investment strategy. I know what I'm looking for, but I don't know where it is. In marketplaces today, online marketplaces, you have one variable that specifies the location. And that's a postal code or an area or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you have around 10 to 12 variables that are concerned with what objects that you are looking for and the price and so on. But I think it's the wrong way. It's exactly the wrong proportion, because an investor is looking for data that says, is it a good location for him or not? And this is what we do, actually.
Depending on what they're looking for.
Yes.
I mean, like probably every risk taking is different.
Exactly. So it's not only about price, and this is actually a good point, because in pricing models, hedonic models, it has always been about location. Mm-hmm. And you know the words location in real estate. But if you look at it, it's not location right now implemented in the platforms in the market. And this is what we want to change. Mm-hmm. So how we do it, we create location profiles. That means that we are looking for hundreds of thousands of the living area in Switzerland, and then we measure what is reachable. So we can take any location in Switzerland and say what is reachable in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, by train, by car, or how many jobs or how many people you can reach. What you get is a very detailed profile in form of data. So we transform environment data into variables. And so what we can do with that is we can compare two locations or one location with hundreds of thousands of locations. Mm-hmm. So we have a known benchmarking tool. What an investor can do is he can say, I have a portfolio with these 20 or 30 locations. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we measure what is his or her search profile, and then we can match his or her search profile with a location.
Right. So let's say I'm an investor. I have my stocks, my bonds, and then I want to diversify my portfolio with real estate. So I come onto your platform, and then I can search for one specific. I can understand like what is the value depending on various variables, or can I make investments directly also? What's the plan?
Well, the idea is both. So right now we have an open data. It's free for everyone to use. It's propmatch.ch, and then you can say, I'm interested in this address. So you put in your address, and then you get a lot of data. You can see the macro level data, demographics and stuff, or a micro level data, and also pricing data, what's the rent level here, and so on. And you have the reachability scores for different things like supermarkets and so on. What you can do also is, if you had a portfolio and you put it inside, if we have that, then you can see every single analysis that you make. You see how good or how well does it match to my portfolio. So you see this. But what's going on else is that you can see how many matching profiles other than yours are there. So we change the perspective, and say, if you want to sell something, you don't have to go to a real estate agency and say, okay, I have to pay a lot, and maybe it takes months. So you can go to Propmatch and see how many investors are looking for exactly this location profile.
So you can basically measure demand.
Yeah, you can measure demand for once, and also you can start the transaction process in a matter of a few seconds.
Right.
The advantage of it is that you don't have to share your data with the whole world, like in online marketplaces, but you can choose your investors that you want to show the information. So we change this process of the transaction for real estate. And we give you, as the owner who wants to sell, full control of it. So you choose which person can see what information in your process.
Well, it's really cool because, there's so many disruptive industries, and the real estate, the realtor industry is definitely one of the industries that still has a middleman, which is really interesting. Where do you see, in terms of outlook on the next 5 to 10 years, how are we going to buy real estate, or maybe even, I'll ask you a more extreme, are we owning a house in the future, or is all shared economy, everyone can sleep wherever they want, anytime?
Well, I think you can do that, but I think for most people it's not going to be a thing of 2 or 5 years or something like that. It's further down the future. But I think in form of big data, artificial intelligence, and these things, predictive pricing, these are things that are coming first, in my opinion. I guess that in let's say 2 years, you are not so much depending on a realtor or real estate agency to tell you what is the price of something and what you have to do in order to buy this or to sell it. In the future, you are empowered to do this yourself. You can take this information from different kinds of sources and put it together. So it's going to be a lot cheaper, it's going to be a lot faster, and it's going to be a lot easier and more transparent for the parties that are involved. You don't have to show it to the whole world, but these parties that are involved in a transaction, they need to be fully transparent in this. And so I think there are a lot of proptech companies. Most of them right now are in the B2C segment.
Right.
But I think the real big opportunity lies in the B2B sector.
Yeah, well, this is a nice segue to my last question. Actually, what I wanted to ask you is, if you look a little bit wider in the proptech industry and disruptive companies, what is there to see that you can say well, those are maybe without naming specific companies, but interesting trends within proptech?
If you have a look at the US, for example, there is a lot going on in the commercial real estate space, and also big data is a huge issue. There were some financing rounds, and they were quite big. So I think this is the next step. I think the first wave of proptech was not so substantial because, as you see, Rocket Internet and many others try to implement this. In Germany, there was a big market shift, and the agencies, they try to do this whole process online without any agency, and this was too early, I think. But we are going to see a shift towards less intermediary parties.
Right. So thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for coming to visit. Thank you very much to all of you who gave me their attention and watched this video. I really appreciate it, and have a great day, and see you very soon with a new episode. Bye-bye.